Thank you, Antonia. You can watch that entire interview right now on our New Mexico in Focus YouTube channel. You'll hear the steps the Healing Coalition feels are necessary beyond a formal apology. Now to the new developments at the state's Children, Youth, and Families Department. Following our interview with the Secretary of the CYFD about a committee that had been closed to the public, the agency is announcing a series of policy changes. Let's bring our line opinion panelists back in to talk this through. Now, Secretary Barbara V. Hill says the department will retrain its frontline investigators and create new critical review teams to help repair some of the issues it's had with a series of incidents like child deaths. David, is this what people have been waiting for to hear from the department for years? Is it enough? Are you satisfied with what you're hearing so far?
Well, I think it's a start, like everything, it all has to start. But I also think that, New Mexico as a state, we have a history of extreme poverty. We have a history of knowing that there's a lot of kids who are at risk, and this is all known stuff to us. And I think that we need to sit back. This is a start, but I think the oversight of this department needs to be beefed up. But I also think that so many more frontline workers, teachers, for example, are very good at picking out, like when kids are, having trouble at home. And
excellent point.
God knows we don't need teachers to do more, but and they do that already. They're required to watch out for that. But I think that we also need to understand that are they properly funded? Do they have enough workers? Do they have enough people doing the right things? All of the things that all of these state things have. And let me sing. I only sing a couple of songs, but let me sing my other one. I'm just not sure that with a volunteer legislature that these departments get enough attention and get enough oversight from committees like they should, and that we should have more. If we had a professional legislature, that they would get more attention, and that could only be to the benefit of the kids.
Hear, hear. That's a good point there. Julia, part of the changes outlined by Secretary Barbara V. Hill is the creation of a new critical incident teams. They'll be charged with interviewing families, law enforcement, doctors, others, maybe teachers, as Dave mentioned, to better understand how the system worked or didn't and how it can be improved to prevent future incidents. Is this a necessary step?
Sure, Gene. I agree with everything that Dave just said. And, I noted in the report that, there's a line that says something like, it's understood there are no quick fixes with the child welfare system. And while that's something I don't think anyone could argue with, these are giant systemic issues. I was struck by thinking that the state knows how to convey a sense of urgency about issues. So when the state is on fire, firefighters manage to have a daily update for the public that says, here's what's happening. And I'm sure they had other things to do. During COVID, we had daily updates because it was a crisis. I think that Secretary V. Hill, in Lou's interview, made it clear she was surprised by the outcry over the transparency issues with the committee. I think that outcry goes to the fact that the public wants a greater sense of accountability, and you could deliver that with, why not, a weekly update that says, here's where we are with our training, here's how many cases we're seeing this week, here are the agencies. That not only tells the public you're taking it seriously, but I think it builds in more of that accountability that maybe you're not going to see from the legislature or other bodies. It just creates that environment, I think, a little bit more.
That's some interesting points there, and similar to what I want to turn to Tom about as well. Public perception. Does that matter in this case when you talk about CYFD, or is it everything? Where does that fit in, how these folks are supposed to take care of their business here?
Yeah, well, before I share my comments, my firm has done some work with the Children, Youth, and Families Department. My thoughts are my own. And just to kind of echo exactly what Julia was saying, I think what she is proposing is a fantastic idea of just having a regular report card to kind of report out what is actually happening. Because quite frankly, a lot of us aren't really engaged in what happens at CYFD until something goes wrong.
That's right.
Until something goes tragically wrong. With more than 20,000 families that CYFD is working with, and 2,000 of those include children that they are coordinating through custody or foster care or other resource programs. There's just a lot of stuff that goes on in this department. And so, having that transparency of reporting out on a regular basis, as they do to the legislature, but more importantly, also to the general public, I think they'll be able to accomplish a couple of things. One is that they'll be able to inform people about what is actually happening with the department, but they'll also be able to hopefully get some more informed advocates out there who can really kind of clarify things when things don't go quite the way that everybody hopes it goes.
I want to touch on your last point there. That's interesting. Is it a communication problem out of the department? I mean, no one person could be tasked with kind of parsing out all this information. That's a tough go.
Yeah, a lot of times in all the different state departments, it comes from a culture of communication.
Gotcha.
That the culture has to be one of transparency. And one of the challenges just in state government in general, or any kind of government is that you have a lot of very capable, qualified employees who are doing the best they can. But you know what? They're really sometimes just waiting out the next administration. They're waiting out the next secretary, the next department head. And so, you have, sometimes that culture of transparency gets lost somewhere along the way. Mm-hmm. So that's how you do it, though, is you really have to say it's a culture. I think, Secretary Vigil has really kind of shown that. And so, now we're all in kind of a wait and see, because, every administration has had issues with how do we increase transparency. And, it's kind of like my good friend Richard Draper used to say when he was with Intel back in the day, good policy fosters good public relations. And so if the policy is for transparency, then you'll have more transparency.
Good point there. Hey, David, you sort of touched on this, but I want to circle back to something about training being a big part of the adjustments put forward by the Secretary. Now, according to that 27-page review she ordered, it seems like there hadn't been a large enough focus on applying the training employees did receive. Now, this seems like a common bureaucratic issue in some, governments. Right. Should the department look for outside help in its training? Sorry, Dave.
I would go farther and say, we expect people to do things, yet we never really show them how to do it.
Right.
Or we have them, go to for the training that then they would never use. And I think it's a problem everywhere, so that, again, beefing it up. You can't expect people to do their jobs if they don't know what they are, So I'm always big on how do we communicate? How do we know that people know what to look for, that they're doing their jobs? What is their job? What is the job of the department? I think it's imperative that the people who are in charge of this, like Tom says, if you cannot communicate it clearly, we have no idea what you're doing or what you're trying to do. And so if we don't know those things, how can we tell if we've been successful?
That's a very, very good point there. Thank you all for your thoughts on this. It's very interesting. We'll be following COAFD's progress as it works. To enact those changes, we'll be back here at the virtual roundtable for one final discussion in about 10 minutes. But first, the U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission's plans to approve Holtec's license to restore nuclear waste in New Mexico. The private company has been working on that for a few years now, despite opposition from most of New Mexico's political leadership. Our land executive producer Laura Paskus joins us once again to talk with State Representative Angelica Rubio about the project that would have our state take on nuclear waste from power plants all across the United States.